Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm very excited. It took me one click to get in tonight. I may be starting to get the hang of this after a semester and part of another one.
I actually had a question about logging in. Is there a reason why we need to register for each Zoom meeting and why it's not just one consistent link?
Um, I don't know. I probably should have something checked differently.
Okay.
Um, so I can look into that.
All right. Yeah, it makes I'm assuming it's everyone else unless it's just me, but yeah, you have to register every time and get like a new link every time.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
You guys been staying in and staying warm, or have you had to get out in this stuff?
Definitely had to get out for work. Not fun. I have a 25-minute drive.
Oh,
Today was okay. Yesterday was terrible.
yeah, I was gonna say my sister, she works here with me and she lives just, I don't know, 20 minutes south, but she said it took her almost an hour to get where she was going yesterday.
Yep, it took me an hour and 17 minutes to get home. I was late for class. Like she was cool with it, but I was like, oh no.
Right. Yeah, not fun. So, okay. I think we had
Your mic is kind of low.
my mic is kind of low.
Yeah, it is low.
Okay, let me see if I can fix that. Okay, well, is that any better? I may just have to talk really loud. Not really any better. Okay. Well, how do I fix that? Let me see. Do I
Do you have
have
an internal mic or an external mic?
um
Like, is it in the computer or do you have like a little setup thing?
well, I have my web camera that's external.
Check your audio through the Zoom. Like there's a settings thing and it shows you if you want what audio input you want or output. Hit the little arrow where it says, do you see where like the mute and the unmute function is? Hit the little arrow there and it'll say select a microphone
Uh-huh.
and see if that switches it up.
Okay, is that any better, guys?
Yay!
Woo! All right. Oh goodness. My family gives me such a hard time for being a computer teacher, but being electronics challenged. So um I just am. I don't know. My
I mean, this
husband
is all
always
new.
he takes the TV from my direct TV to some other input and I go to turn it on and I'm like, where's my TV? I just want it to work. So yeah, I learned slowly those kinds of things because I don't do a lot of TV watching anyway. But when I do, I just want it to work. I don't want to have to work for it. I know I had a couple of people. I know, Drew, I got your email. My guess is when I go through that you're going to have some spelling or punctuation errors. Um, I can't remember if it was somebody else in your class or somebody in my online class that had the same question. They were like, I have everything typed. It looks like it's all right. But a lot of times it's just a spacing issue, a punctuation,
Oh, but
little
would it be
things
too
like
much
that.
to just go over that with me after class?
Yeah, I can take a look at that and see.
Okay.
But usually on the that module 2, because it's a research paper, if you guys have the paragraph typed, I am not too particular about if it's a comma missing or if it's a plural versus singular. I'll take a look at it as long as you have the paragraph typed and it's not just missing lots of stuff, then I just go ahead and I adjust the scoring for you guys. So,
Yeah,
but we can still take a look at it and see, because I know for some people it's frustrating if we can't find why it's not counting things correctly.
I had the same problem. I send you the screenshot of my work and the errors, but looks like it was a comma, but I couldn't find the error.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard, especially when it's not your paper and it's not you doing I mean, if you ever had to take a keyboarding class in high school or middle school and you had to look for those errors and get it exactly to match what was in the book, not everyone has that skill. That's why not everyone is a business teacher and teaches proofreading skills. But that's basically what it is. And so for those of you that like to see that 100%, I know that can get a little bit of an annoyance, but I will tell you that will not be the only project that you have that issue with. In fact, the one that we're going to do tonight with the letterhead that we're creating, for some reason, if we don't do the paragraph border underneath the heading, underneath our letterhead just right, if we don't hit the enter key just right, or we don't change the formatting, you can go back and make changes and it looks right, but there's some kind of coding that has been put in your work that it just never corrects it and grades it correctly. So I like to give you guys a heads up on those, kind of like I did last week, in that everything has to be spelled correctly and punctuated correctly. So you can kind of keep that in mind as you're working through. um, working through the projects. But if you were typing your own paper, you would probably know where you want a comma, or have someone else help you proofread and stuff like that. So that's why I don't get too stressed out if it's just a punctuation or typing error. But that's what you can look for. If it looks like you have everything else going, that's what you can look for to see if you have any, if that's any of the mistakes that you're getting. Okay, so like I said, tonight we are going to be, or this week, we're going to be working through the Word Module 3 project. And I'm going to try, I'm usually a procrastinator and I do things at the last minute, but I don't know if you guys noticed, I went ahead and did the Module 3 textbook project and posted that. So if you had the opportunity to get in and look at that. So I'm going to try to do that again tonight. I'll do the Excel one for next week and have it posted out there for any of you that kind of want to get a review of that ahead of time. You don't have to, but I like to try to make it available to you if I can. All right, let me find this here.
I'm kind of confused on the dates as far as when things are due. I don't know if maybe because I was kind of running behind, but okay. So what's due this week? So are we still on Word Module 3?
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this week is Word Module 3. And that's where I know that can get a little confusing. Let me see. Oops. Okay, so yeah, the thing that makes it really confusing, if you look at the calendar view in the Cengage website, the calendar view to me is a little challenging, but it's also because I didn't learn to use that originally. I worked in the outline view from the beginning, and so that's what I kind of got used to. Let me share this screen with you guys. Okay, so this is the calendar view, and I changed that up here in the top left-hand corner area. So this tells us that we are in week 5, which is our current week. And so it shows you that on Monday the 8th, your Module 2 textbook, Module 2 training, and Module 2 project, those are due at 11:59 on Monday the 8th. So that's how you can look at the calendar view. Why I think that's confusing is because it's our current week, but our week doesn't really start until Tuesday. So our week is today through next Monday. So next week is when you will see that all of your things are due for Monday the 15th for module 3. Does that make any more sense to you? Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, so
If you,
module 2 textbook project was due already. Well, it's due. Yeah, okay.
last night.
Last night. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Why did I think
So
it was due on the 15th? I thought it was due on the 15th. I put it down for the 15th. I crossed it out. I don't know why I did that. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you look in what I call outline view, what you see now on my screen, if you have that all collapsed, you can just go into each unit that we're doing. So you know that this week we're doing module 3 because that's what we're talking about tonight. So then you can see each one of those. It tells you with the little orange dot what's due. And then you'll see that they're due on the 15th. So I don't know which is easier for you. But the schedule that I gave you also, the schedule that I gave you also in Blackboard tells you the due dates as well. It has your week on the left-hand side, the topic that we're covering, the homework that you need to complete and the points for that, and then the due date is on the far right-hand side. So maybe that will be helpful to you. I don't know.
So this schedule is accurate.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yes. So, all right. Any other questions?
Could you back up a page and show me how to get to the calendar view real quick?
Sure. The calendar view, you can come up here to the top left-hand. Well, mine is in the top left-hand corner. Do you guys have that calendar icon in your top left-hand corner, or is it over on the right? I'm sorry. This is the top right-hand corner. Do you have that over on the left-hand side? Because I know your menu is on the top left-hand side. Regardless, you should see a little calendar icon like this, and that will take you into each particular week. So our current week is week 5. And so this is what was due last night.
Mind signing in, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, so like I say, I think that's a little more confusing because this week we're technically working on module 3 stuff, which will be due on the 15th. So however it makes more sense in your mind for that to work, that whatever works best for you is what you need to kind of fall into to working with.
It's top right for me. Is the week 5, week 6 is what's going to be due the, what date did you say?
The 15th.
15th. Okay.
Well, your Word Module 3 stuff will be due on the 15th. And while we're talking about our Word Module 3 work being due next Monday, next Tuesday, when we have class, we will start with Excel. I will make the word test available to you guys beginning next Tuesday. And so you'll have that week to complete that word test as well. It will be very similar to what you've done for the training. So training is a good way to review for your exams. And I think that you guys are supposed to register with Smarter Proctoring. So I'll have to show you that before we take off today. But it's not difficult to do. And you can just get registered in there. I have to make the test available to you. So you'll end up going through the Smarter Proctoring and getting into your test that way. But then it will take you right to the SAM website where you've been doing your stuff, and it'll be just like your training. Okay. All right.
So I have a question about the test. So we're gonna have a week to complete the test?
Yes, I will give you the week. What I'll do is once I get it in Smarter Proctoring, I'll give you, I'll get that set up later today or tomorrow sometime, and you'll have from now until whenever you decide you want to schedule your test to get it scheduled. And then whenever you have it, you'll have a certain time, like you can schedule it up to 2 hours before it's due. And then you have to have it done. It'll be due by that same time, 11:59 on Monday night. But you can take it whenever works for you. I would recommend that you are somewhere where you're going to have good internet connection, and a good solid hour and 50. I give you 75 minutes, so hour and 15 minutes to complete it. It usually doesn't take people that long, especially for the word test, but you just want to make sure that you give yourself that amount of time kind of set aside, so the dogs and cats and kids and husbands, spouses or girlfriends don't come and bother you. So anyway, or maybe you can test in a different environment than I can. I don't know, but anyway, just to keep that in mind as far as time goes. So, all right. Any other questions before I start going through the module 3?
Is the test like listed on the calendar?
I don't think it shows up on the calendar because I haven't made it available and scheduled for you in Cengage yet, so that you won't see that. But it would be due the 22nd, so it might be in that following week. I can't remember. Let me see. Because it would be down here in exams.
Yeah, there's no activities yet.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't set the dates for them to be available yet, so I will have to make sure I get that done. But yeah, you'll see that, and not, like I said, when I get done with this, I'll take you through signing up with Smarter Proctoring. Have any of you used Smarter Proctoring before? No? Okay. Have you used the lockdown browser?
Yes.
Okay. I had a really difficult time figuring out lockdown browser. So Smarter Proctoring is what I've used for the online classes, and they made that available for us. So we'll try it. The only thing that I had issues with is it doesn't like to inject the password from the Cengage website. So I usually end up having to text that to all the students as they're sitting down to take their test and can't get logged in. So I think I have to put a password on there for Smarter Proctoring, but I can send that out to you guys in an email, so you know that, and don't have to worry about contacting me when you get ready to take your test. So, okay. So we're going to be creating this letter, a business letter, in Module 3. The first, probably not quite half of the textbook, Module 3, has us learning how to do this letterhead portion of the letter. So, and you can look at that and you go, well, that doesn't seem like a lot, but they take you through doing a lot of different things in that. I'm gonna have to move my textbook so I can look at it.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I have a legitimate concern.
Okay.
During a lot of these assignments, all of the instructions are for the current display of Microsoft Word that you're using right now. Mine is the next version. So there are things that are in completely different spots. And that was also something I wanted to address. So even as we go through this, it's going to be completely different for me.
What version are you using?
Ooh, I'm not even sure, to be honest, because I bought the computer a while back and it just auto updates. I'll have to get back to you on what version I'm using, but I'll figure that out.
Okay, because you should be using the 2019 version for what our textbook is. And if you're using the Office 365, that's not always exactly the same. So there's directions in, let me find.
I wanted to make a comment too, like some of the commands. So I was trying to apply to work, and at work we use a Mac. So, and it's different. So I have just to find out the way how to apply in the job, but in different way, because I think some of the projects, they're not compatible with Mac.
Correct. They are not compatible with a Mac. A lot of different parts of them are not compatible with Macs. However, your textbook and the training that you do, the training in the observe, or I think it's the observe part, gives you instructions about how to do it on a Mac, even if you're using a PC, those instructions are there. And I think typically through the textbook, they don't have screenshots of Macs, but they will occasionally give hints in there of how you can use stuff, the same things that we're doing on a Mac. And yeah, it's completely different. I know. I tried using a Mac several years ago, and I struggled because to me it's a different language, and so if you're having to go back and forth, yeah, I understand that can be challenging. But so really the only thing, I mean, you just have to do some research yourself, dig in your book a little bit more, or ask people that use a Mac more frequently, you know, or that use the have used the 2019 version, you know, they will probably be able to give you some hints on how to do things. So I'm not much help with the Mac at all because I don't use one. So my daughter is on a campus that they all have iPads, and she wanted a computer as well as her iPad because she takes notes on one of them, but she needs a website up for another part. So she now is the owner of a Mac and the iPad that the school provided. So I don't even touch her stuff. So it's just foreign to me. But I do understand that some people use Macs. That's what their companies use. But the Shelley Cashman series is not set up to work with Macs. And so Cengage products that go with that, with this SAM, is not set up to work with Macs very well. They have improved because when we first started using SAM, you could not use a Mac at all. We just said, if you have a Mac, you can't do it. You can use them now, but for most of the projects, it's very limited what you can do with them. And then some of the projects you can't do at all with them because there's no way that it can grade it. So I'm not a computer coder, and I'm sure that there's lots of work that has to be done in a IT person typing up code to get the SAM application to grade your project for you, so you can see how you did right away and then make some changes to it. So education is a lot geared toward PCs. Businesses are probably, well, depending on the type of businesses, but some of them are geared only towards Mac, and that's what you have to work with. So it's just challenging. I don't know what else to tell you, but Drew, for your question, in Blackboard, let me get to the right class here.
I mean, it's not the worst thing to just adjust and see where the different things are. It's just I have to take an extra second to figure out which tab it's been put in.
Right.
But apparently, I do have 365, and yeah, so that's apparently what I do have.
Okay. You can in the getting started and key information, let me pull this over here. Okay, do you see my Blackboard screen now? Okay. This is the getting started and key information. If you come down here to the Office 365 software, you can go there, and when you are able to install it, it makes you, somewhere I have on here, and I'll have to find it. Instructions for downloading, or instructions for getting that installed on your computer, because you go through the campus email that you put in, and that's how you're able to get the free version and be able to download it. So I have two documents. They're somewhere in there. that one of them shows you how to download and one of them shows you how to go through the Blackboard to get it. So it's one sign in. You sign in for it and Blackboard all at the same time. Have you been doing that to get into Microsoft Word? No? Okay. So yeah, that just takes you directly through it, so that it's all connected. And I'm sure there's a reason for it. But you can also just sit down at your computer and open up Microsoft Word or Excel and start working on it. You don't necessarily have to go through Blackboard to do that. So, but you might try that. I'll put those on a link in the announcement section so that you can see those. I know I put them out there for my online class in an announcement, but I maybe didn't. It's probably in the syllabus or instructions somewhere in there that I'm not remembering right now. So I'll make sure I get that for you guys as well. I'm going to start making some notes here. So okay. All right. So module 3 of Word, like I said, we're going to be making this letterhead. So the first part of this, you're going to insert a shape. So you'll just come up here to your insert, and there's actually a couple different ways that you can get shapes. So you'll be using the shape to put in a rectangle, and they have you make it a certain width and height. So you can always adjust the height and width once you have a shape or graphics created. You can always go to the shape format tab or the pictured format tab, and you'll see the size at the far right end, and you can always adjust that at that end. I'm looking here in the textbook, and the shape that is drawn is originally in blue. So there's obviously a color change in here. So just make sure that you guys pay attention to that. You will also be learning about floating objects versus inline objects. An inline object is an object like a rectangle or these pictures or the Smartart that are put in, and when they're in line, they are in the same line as the text. So for instance, this rectangle here is a 1/2 inch tall. If I were to have that in the same line as some of my text down here, my text is an 11-point font. So my line would consist of the 11-point font and then the 1/2 inch rectangle. So it would be looking kind of funny there with it sticking up above the line of text so high. So some of the other options that we have are what's called floating objects, and you change the objects either to a floating or an inline by using you can do it a couple different ways. In the shape format tab, you have the wrap text option that's in the arrange section. And you can see this one is set to top and bottom. But typically, anytime you put a new object into a document, it's going to come in as an inline object. So it will always be this inline with text option. So you will need to choose which of these other options that you like. and I think your textbook gives you some descriptions of how those different choices will work. This one, you're going to leave it top and bottom so that text can be on the top or the bottom of it. And that's, you can also get to that. If you notice, the wrap text button has the little lines with what looks like a black rainbow, or I guess it's a rainbow. And you'll see when you have a graphic selected that you have that same object that pops out to the side, or that same icon. So you can do it either way, using the little pop out menu or going up to the ribbon and doing it there. So you'll need to learn the difference between those floating and inline. The other thing that you will be working with is the object's position. And this one you will have to go to, yeah, I think you'll have to go up here to the arrange section, and just above that wrap text you'll see the position, and they have you position your graphic either at the top corner, the top center, the top left. So you just have to make sure you choose the right position where you want that. I think we've worked with shape styles before. So when you have a shape created and you're working with it, you can add shape effects, the shape outline. You can fill the shape to a specific color, but you also have this live or this gallery over here. And so you'll use the, I think it's this moderate effect for the shape of that rectangle. So that's where you'll get your shape styles, is from that gallery there. Okay, and the next few sections have you working with those effects, outlines, and fills and things like that. So I'm not going to go through all of that. You should be familiar with that. Your textbook goes through putting in an online picture, which you are not going to need to do because your eagle, I think that's what that is your supporting document, or is a supporting graphic that you will download. So don't worry about going through and getting the picture from online. Just use the one that they send you. And you're going to have to resize it, obviously. They do have you resize, instead of just using the size here or shrinking it from the corner, they have you go into the dialog box launcher for the size, and you're going to be doing the scale with a %. So that's just a different way of doing it. Again, if you were doing this for your own purpose, you would just make it whatever size you probably wanted it. But just to give you a heads up on how you're going to change that. I think we've talked about the recoloring of the picture before, where you'll go over here to the adjust portion of the picture format tab. You'll work with the corrections to make it brighter. You'll do a recolor. I don't think you'll do anything else, but that's where you'll find those for those changes to make to those pictures that you put in. I will tell you guys this, make sure that you get your picture set the way you want it. They have you work with the one on the left-hand side first. So once you have it and everything is completely done with it, then you're going to copy it and paste it and move it over to the other side, but you're also going to flip it. And I think we've flipped things before, but that's over here in the arrange. And then you'll flip it horizontally so that it's facing the other direction. A lot of times I have students that get those two pictures that should be identical, except one's flipped. They get counted off on that. And it's because they think they have it done, and then they'll paste the new one and they'll move it, and then they forget to make the change to that second one. So make sure that you have everything set the way you want it before you do the copy and paste and get it to the correct location that you want it. I don't know that your textbook talks with you, I can't remember, about using your smart guides, but you'll want to make sure that you line it up with well, I say that it's not looking like it lines up very well. So just line it up the best you can, I guess, because I don't think it lines up as great with those guidelines. Let me make this just one page here. Okay. You guys can probably tell that I have my show hide on. I'm going to turn that off so you can get a little better picture of what this looks like. Because the next thing we're going to do is learn about putting in symbols. You're going to type your text here, and then you're going to have a space after the zip code, and that's where you're going to enter this symbol here that's a little dot. Students have a difficult time sometimes getting the exact dot that they're supposed to get. So just make sure you follow the directions for that. Let me see. So what you are going to want to do is come to your insert tab, and then all the way on the far right end, you'll see the symbol menu that you can use to drop down. And you may get lucky and have the dot that's already there. We are looking for the symbol is, does it tell us there what it is? Don't think it does. Yeah. But if you notice here on my screen, this symbol is symbol number 183. And technically you should be able to go and type in that code and it will come up for you. But just to give you guys a little heads up, you can come to the more symbols if that's not available to you. And then that is not the correct one. Okay. I was trying to find out what font it was that you were using. So do you see where it says character code right here? You should be able to type in the 183 there, and it comes up to the symbol that you need. But I'm in Wingdings 2 right now, and I don't know that it tells us. Don't know that it tells us what font and stuff that is with. It just says Unicode. Yeah, I don't see that. What is the one that we typically use? Okay. Well, I am not exactly sure how to tell you to find that 183 because when I'm typing it in, it's not coming up. Oh, maybe I have to be in that. No. Okay. Well, if you don't have the symbol that's popping up that is 183, find a circle one and just use the circle one that is similar to that. Um, I think I had that at one time. Um, Now, see, that says symbol decimal, but maybe I need to be in the symbol font. Oh, did I find it? Yes. Okay, so up here where your font is, you can choose the symbol font, and then you should be able to find that dot. If not, you should be able to type in 183. And notice how it says symbol over here? That is what kind of clued me in that I needed to look for the symbol font up here. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. Now, let me show you when you insert it, it will insert that symbol wherever your insertion point was. And I made mine down here by the date so we can kind of see it a little bit easier. But it doesn't close you out of the symbol dialog box because you may want to enter another symbol. We don't need to do that right now, so we can just go ahead and hit the close button. Then you're going to type the phone number, okay? And then you're going to, I see I left the space bar out, or a space out up here. You'll hit the space bar once. Then when you come back up here for your next symbol, it should be the one that was right there in the most recently used. So you can just click on that. It will put it in there. You do your space and then you type your website there. Okay. All right. Let me undo that stuff. All right. That was a long explanation of symbols, but we found what we were looking for. You will be adding this paragraph border underneath. Actually, when you do that sunset.edu, you might get the hyperlink and you'll have to undo that hyperlink. I didn't just get it now, so maybe you won't. But when you're finished with the .edu, then you're going to want to put in this bottom border. And you can do that from your paragraph section. You're just going to add a bottom border. I'm going to change mine to outside border so we can just see what it looks like that I've made that change. And then when you're done with that border, you're going to press your enter key and notice how the border moves down with me. And I don't want it to do that. I need it to stay up with the previous paragraph. So you have to come to your font section and you'll see the letter A with what looks like an eraser there. And that's your clear off formatting button. When you click on that, it will remove the formatting from the current row that you're on so that everything on this row now is clear and clean, and then there's no formatting to go along with that. So then you're ready to start working on the actual part of the letter. Because we're creating a business letter, there is instruction in the textbook about what a business letter is, what all the different parts of the business letter are, so that you kind of have a good understanding of how what the different parts are made up of, like our flyer that we did where we had the heading and the body and the signature line and things like that. So we have our date line, we have what's called our inside address, we have the salutation, and then you'll have your body, and then at the end you'll have the complimentary close and the signature block. Now, depending on what style of letter you're writing will depend on if you have the inside address, if you have a comma or a colon after your salutation. Do you indent the paragraphs? Do you leave the paragraphs all at the left margin? So all of those things, it depends on which style you're using. In years past, people were much more particular about all of that than they probably are nowadays. But just so you know, there are differences, and you may need to, for certain people, use specific letter styles. So just kind of keep that in mind. Once you have your heading, your letterhead complete, you'll be on this blank line below. And I put these show hide back on to show you that when I press the enter key, this top line here has, let me get on the right line. Okay, so it doesn't have any space below or after it. I just was making sure. But what you need to do is you want to apply let me get on the home ribbon here. You're going to change the style to no spacing, because you don't want any additional spacing between paragraphs. You want everything to be single spaced so that it looks a little more concise. So once you have used that clear formatting, you're on this next blank line. You'll need to make sure you change this to no spacing. Once you have that done, then you're going to be ready to learn how to set tabs. Now, tabs are something that students, actually, not just students, tabs are something that the world has difficulty understanding how they work. If you understand how they work, they can be quite beneficial for you. I don't know if you've ever created a document and you want to try to line something up, and so you just use the space bar, space, 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 or maybe you tab and then space, space, space. So it might look good on the screen. It might not print as well, or it might print fine, but it doesn't look good on the screen. And then if you ever have to do any editing where you've pressed all those space bars, then you got a lot of changes to make, a lot of deletions to take out of all those different little spaces that you put in there. So learning how to make a tab stop correctly is very beneficial to you. By default, Microsoft Word has a tab stop set at every ½ inch. So if I'm on this first blank line that I have created here, I can press my tab key and it will make a mark of that arrow every ½ inch across my document. So technically, I could press the tab key as many times as you see arrows and get to the same place that I need to type my date of my letter. But notice on this next line, because I know how to set a tab stop, I only had to press the tab key one time. So that is a little bit more efficient for you than having to press it multiple times. You will need to make sure that you have your ruler bar showing up here at the top. And then if you, let me move this over here a little bit so you can see this little square up here in the top left-hand corner. It's a little white square and it has what looks like a little L in it. That black L lets you know that If you were to use this tab stop, it would set a left tab. Now, in your textbook, it talks about the tab alignments. It's in table 3-2 in section 3-3C, where you talk about using tab stops. But the L is for your left tab. And what the left tab does is what you see right here. So here's my little L that I put on my ruler, and it tabs, and then everything that I type, if I were to press my enter key and tab again, is going to be lined up on the left hand side here. All right. Now, if I were to change that to, I can click on this little box up here and change it from an L to what looks like an upside down T. If I were to place an upside down T stop here on my ruler bar, I'm going to take this little L out. If you get them in there incorrectly, you can always just click on it and drag it straight down and it will remove it. But what will happen when I press the tab key and I have this upside down T? That's a center tab. So what it does is it takes you to the center of where you'll be typing, and then as you type, your letters go to the left and the right, and it's centered on that spot on the ruler. So if I change this line to the center tab as well, then you'll see that it pops over there to line up and is centered on that spot on my ruler. If you click the button another time, it turns into a backwards L. This is our right tab. So if I have these lines and selected and I change this to a right tab, then they go to that spot on the ruler where the where the right tab is set, and then as you type, the information moves back across the page to the left. So if I just get rid of this text, I've tabbed. I'll just start tab here, and then as I type my text, it moves it back across the page. So that's your right tab. The next one is a decimal tab. You probably will not use that. If you ever need to line up things in that are in a decimal format, you're probably going to use a table to do that. You can use a decimal tab to do that, but I will tell you, you're probably going to have some practice with it. And we used to have to do that when we did a number, when we wanted to enumerate a list of things, because you would type a 1 and the period, and then you would have to tab over to get it all to line up properly. Well, then when you got to number 10, your decimals didn't line up after your 1, 2, 3, and when you got to 10. So you could set a decimal tab, it should line up all those decimals, but I will tell you that sometimes it's just trial and error and figuring out how that works just by playing around with it. If you click it again, you get what's called a bar tab. That is supposed to put a line to the left of when you tab and then start typing, you should get a bar on the left-hand side. And those are explained in the table in your textbook. If you keep clicking on it, you will then see what is the hanging indent part of the hourglass shape here. So if I were to click, that's giving me a left. If you keep clicking, you'll go from the hanging indent to the top line, what is it called? First line indent to the hanging indent, and then it'll come back to the L. So most of the time, you're not going to make any changes to that. If you're going to learn to set tab stops, you're probably going to learn to do it a different way. But That's how you can quickly set tab stops using the ruler bar up there. So let me get rid of this. That's not what I wanted to get rid of. Okay. All right, we'll stay there for now. Okay, so tab stops, you're just gonna go to the line where you want to set it. You'll use the make sure the L is up here, and then you're just gonna click at the 3.5 inch mark on your ruler. Then you'll be able to tab and type your date. And actually, I think they don't have you type your date. I think you actually use the insert date function to do that. So what you do is you'll go to your insert tab, and where you see the text, you will see that what looks like a calendar and a watch. That will let you put in the date and time, and they have you choose a specific one, which is going to be the month spelled out, the day, comma, and then the year. You will also want to make sure that this check mark where it says update automatically is not highlighted. You want to make sure that's blank. And then when you click the OK button, you will get the current date. So I don't know. Once you have your date entered, you will press your enter key 2 times. And you don't have to remember this. Your textbook will tell you how many times you need to press your enter key. So you'll press it 1, 2, I guess 3 times. And that will leave 2 blank lines between the date and where you start typing your inside address. When you finish the inside address, you'll push the enter key twice. That will leave 1 blank line here where you can type your salutation, Dear Caleb. Press your enter key twice to leave 1 blank line before you start typing that first paragraph. When you get to the end of the first paragraph, you're going to press your enter key twice to leave a blank line between the next paragraph. Then you're going to be ready to put in your table. So to create your table, you'll just be on that that next line. You're going to leave a blank line, and so you'll be here. And just to insert a table, I'm still on my insert tab. So here's my table. The interesting thing about working with tables or creating a table with this textbook is they always tell you to create a table that only has 1 row in it, which I think is odd because you can clearly tell you're going to need more than 1 row. But so you'll click here on your table drop down arrow, and you want to have, I think, 3 columns. And if you know you need 3 or 4 rows, you can add them here. It doesn't make any difference. The reason that they only have you add 1 is because once you get to the end, so let's just pretend that I'm typing the word notes here. I'm at the end of that first line. To get another new line, all I have to do is press my tab key and my new line appears. So you can create just 1 row with 3 columns, and those are called your dimensions of your table. Let me go back up here. So you want to create, that's not what I wanted to do. You can create a table in a table if you want to, but so you'll need to know your table dimensions. So 3 by 1 is 3 columns with 1 row, or 2 rows, or however many rows you want. So that's how you'll create it. And then to type in it, you will just type, and then you can tab to the next cell. And like I said, when you get done or get to the end, if you have multiple rows, when you press your tab key, you'll go right to the next cell in the next row. So each of those little rectangles that you see outlined with the black outline, those are referred to as cells. And we'll talk about cells more in Excel, but you just move through those by pressing the tab key. Now I will tell you, this section is where you will have some errors probably pop up because of spacing, errors, commas, things like that. So you'll notice that you have 12-16 here. There's no spacing between the hyphens. There is spacing between the word July and the date 19. Then you also have here move in. That's a hyphenated word, so you need to make sure that you get that hyphenated. And then you see the last column is italicized. You can select an entire column. If you put your mouse at the top of that column, you will then see a black arrow. It takes you a little while sometimes, but when you see the black drop down arrow or the black down pointing arrow, you can click and that will select your entire column for you. And that's how you can change all of those to italics. You can also just click and drag through them if that's easier for you. Okay. All right, so you might notice here that this table is a little bit easier to read than the one, or it's a little bit nicer to look at than the one that I have created up here. What they have you do is go into your, table designs, and you're going to use a table style that they have already set up. Because our theme is the orange, we're going to be using that, which is that accent color 1, I think, or 2? I don't remember, but so you'll go to your more button here, go into the accent color 2. It'll either say that you want a grid table or a list table, and then you just need to make sure that you get the right one. That doesn't look correct, but anyway, that's where you'll go to find the style of the table that you want. If you need to insert a row or a column, what you need to remember is that if you're inserting a row, wherever your insertion point is located, it will put that row above automatically. If you are in a column, or if you're in a cell and you want to insert a column, it will automatically go to the left of your current cursor position. However, I think, whoops, didn't want to do that. Let me try again here. Okay. My stop share is too close to my layout tab here. In your layout tab, this is where you will insert rows or columns. If you are in a cell and you choose to insert, so you have choices. Usually this way you only have one choice. It just says insert a row, but I must not have used that in this newer version yet. So because you have the opportunity to put the row above or below. So, which is nice because it's sometimes difficult to remember if it's going to go below or above where I currently am. So you can make those changes by going into the layout tab, or you can right click and insert a row or a column, either way. You do see that there is an insert cells option as well. I do not recommend using the insert cells because what happens is you either push your stuff to the right, left, up, or down, and then everything gets offline. So it's usually just a good idea to insert an entire row or an entire column at a time. And it just makes your life a little bit easier all the way around. Okay. If for some reason you needed to get rid of all of your data in a table, you can use this four-headed arrow. That will select all, and then you can just press your delete key and it gets rid of all your data. But if you want to get rid of that entire table, then you can right click on it, or I'm sorry, you can select the entire table, and you'll see here in the mini toolbar that pops up, I have the option of deleting there, and you can see that I can delete the entire table. So by just pressing the delete key, you're only going to remove the data that you've typed in. If you want to get rid of the entire table, then you have to choose to make sure you get that entire table selected. The next part of this, they have you type, they have you create bullets as you type. We did that in the flyer. So you're just going to type an asterisk, and then when you press your space bar to move to the next, or to type your word, it's going to automatically convert that to the bullet that you see there. So you'll have those three lines of bulleted text to type. Then you can press your enter key twice at the end, and it will stop formatting in bullets. All right, as you get down here to the bottom, you're going to finish that you're a flying eagle. You'll press your enter key 3 times. I'm sorry. It will leave one blank line. And then on that third line is where you're going to need to use your tab stop again. Now, because you set your tab stop here and you typed and you pressed enter all along, that tab stop should have followed you all the way to your end of your document. So you should not have to set a new tab here on the bottom for your complimentary close. You'll press your enter key after sincerely, comma, 4 times. That leaves 3 blank lines, and on that 4th line, you're going to tab again, type the author's name, put on the next line their title, and then you're done with the letter. Now, you will notice that there is a page break showing here. We talked about page breaks in Module 2 when we changed from page 3 of our page 2 of our document, our research paper, to the 3rd page where we did our works cited. We had to use that page break. So Control Enter or the Insert tab, and you can do a page break there. This next page is a lot of typing, and it can get very tiny. So you may have to increase your size of your document, or have better eyesight than I do. I don't know. But so you're going to be putting in the heading up here. You'll just type in orientation and registration, and then you're going to type student schedule. And that's all going to be set to the same font size and color size. And then once you have that typed in, then you are going to put the paragraph border that you see around that. So you'll need to make sure you get the size of the border and the style of the border correct. So make sure you're looking in the textbook and get those correct ones selected. Sometimes that does involve counting the number of styles that you have down to get the right one. Then they again have you do that clear formatting so that it doesn't move on to the rest of this document that we're having. You'll change the text style here. Yeah, you're going to change that to that no spacing like we did before, and then you'll just type that first little paragraph there. You will notice that 2 days and dress accordingly do have an underline. It is a dashed underline or a dotted underline. So again, look at the pictures in your textbook and make sure you're getting the correct style and color for your underlines. And what they have you do is they have you set that on like the 2 days. You'll set the underline as you want it. And then you're going to come up here to your home ribbon. You're going to use this format painter. And I talk about this in the one I do online. So right now I have the word to and part of the D. If I click on this format painter, what that's going to allow me to do is copy this formatting, which basically has that underlined in orange of some color. And then I can click and drag across the word that I want that same formatting to apply to. And so that's what you'll do to this dress accordingly. You'll get it set here. You'll do the format painter, click it once, come down here and do dress accordingly. If you had more than one place where you wanted that formatting to go, you could do a double click here, and then you could go through and apply that formatting to different parts of your paper. And then you have to turn off your format painter by coming back up here and clicking it to turn it off. All right. The next part of this talks about the Smartart Graphic that you're going to use here. So they're going to have you, I'm going to show you what your Smartart Graphic is going to look like when you first put one in here, because it doesn't look anything like what you just saw there. Okay, so we're going to go in the home section, and then we want to be in the, that doesn't look right. We're going to go to the insert tab. And in the insert tab, you're going to see the Smartart Graphic option here. These are set up into different categories. So if you know the category that you want to go to, you can choose that one, and then you don't have to scroll through all of them. If you're not sure, you can always click the all and then scroll through and find the one that you think will best work for you. We are going to use the one that is a grouped list. So I could probably go to list here, and then I want grouped list. So I think it's this one right here. Yeah, grouped list. So I'll click the OK button, and this is what it's going to look like when it first comes in. So you have some work to do, and then this is what it's going to look like in the end. So it's not as scary as you might think, but you will notice that we have 3 columns here. We're only needing 2 columns for this, so we're going to have to get rid of some of the parts of our Smartart Graphic here. So to get rid of them, you can just click on one. You'll have to click. That selects the entire Smartart Graphic. Then you can click again on an individual, basically text box, and then you can press your delete key. And then we want to get rid of this entire text box as well. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. So once it is selected, we can press our delete key and get rid of that. So then you will just have 2 columns with your pieces of information. But notice how nice and big and easy they are to read right now. That is not going to stay the same. So All right. You are going to just click where it says text here, and this will be the title 1, which is day 1. And then you'll have to click here, and this will be your check-in, and that's hyphenated. And this is what's irritating to me, is you have to type the parentheses, 9 o'clock hyphen 10 o'clock, close your parentheses. Fun stuff, huh? And so you'll have that all the way down. Once you get done with the first column, then you'll be able to come up here, and they'll have you type day 2 in here, and then what you're going to be doing on day 2 on each of these. So they are all identified with, so you can't even read this, it's so tiny. They are all identified with the task, the project, the item that you're doing, whether it's checking in or touring or whatever, and then it has a time scheduled with that. So you'll know that blowing that up did not help me read that at all. But as you add text box to this, so you'll need to do that. You'll do add shape, and you can just add these until you know how many you need. And then the same thing over here. I don't know how many you need, but I haven't counted them. But you want to make sure that they're even. And then as you type your text in there, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Then you'll need to format it to make it look like this, which is a lot easier to use. And you're going to do that by going to this change colors options here, and then I think you're using the colorful one of those accents there. So just make sure you follow the directions and get the correct one on that Smartart graphic. And then just like we had done previously when we applied a style to our picture, you can apply a Smartart style from your options that are listed there in the Smartart style section. Then they have you do some resizing so it fits better on that page. I think the rest of this is probably good information to have, but not necessarily needed for what we're doing. In the text or in the online version that I gave you, I talk a little bit more in depth about using envelopes. Several years ago, it will actually be 25 in August, I figured up the other day. So about this time, my husband and I were thinking about sending out wedding invitations, and because neither one of us have great handwriting, so we printed ours on our inkjet printer back in the day. And so it was very handy to be able to know how to go in and do envelopes. So you have to go into the mailings section to do that. And then you can go to envelopes, and that will create one envelope for you. Oops, hold on. If you're doing a letter like this, you can select the inside address, and then when you go to envelope, it will put in that inside address automatically for you. This is my business PO box, which is in here by default. You can add yours to your home computer and have it set as a default. And they usually know what printer you're connected to, and it shows you here how to feed the envelope through so that it will get printed properly. I always tell people, if they're not sure, put an X on a piece of paper, or draw a rectangle where you think you want the inside address or the return address, or the inside address to go on your envelope. You can mark a little rectangle there, and then put it through as an envelope, and you'll see where it prints. And if it's lined up pretty much with where you want stuff to be, then you're probably good to go ahead and print your envelopes through there. So we printed all of our wedding invitation envelopes like this, which was nice, but it was also a little time consuming because instead of making labels, we typed out every one of their addresses in here. But the people could read them, and I'm sure the post office people were very excited that we did that instead of handwriting them. But I don't even know if they make invitations anymore, or if it's all done electronically. So anyway, so that's just a little bit on envelopes, which we don't do a whole lot of anymore because everything is sent electronically, it seems like. So, okay, let me stop sharing that. All right, any questions, guys? No. All right. Let me go into Blackboard here. Okay, so here is our Blackboard course, and yeah. So you'll click on the exam information here, and this will give you some information about Smarter Proctoring. You will click on the Smarter Proctoring link up here, and it will take you to a different screen. I think you're still in. Oh, I bet I have to set up something first. Yeah, I probably have to set up something for you guys first so that you can see that, because it's not doing what it should do. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Good grief. Let's just do it this way. Okay. Let me go into this class and see if I can do it here. Okay, it doesn't look like it's letting me do that. So I will have to do some investigating into that. If we are not using Smarter Proctoring, then you guys aren't gonna have to worry about that. It'll just be I'll just have to give it allow you to do it on your own throughout the time, because I'm not going to have us meet and me watch you guys take a test just because I'm going to watch you take a test. So you can just do it on your own. Again, my thoughts on the class is it's not necessarily the testing information that's going to tell me how well you did. You're going to learn from actually doing the projects and going through and doing them, the textbook and the homework project each time. That's going to be the best way for you to learn. So I'll look into the Smarter Proctoring thing and give you more feedback on that if we are going to end up doing that. So it doesn't look like it's working properly for us at this point in time, so I'm not going to stress too much about it. We'll just do what we have to do. Okay. If you guys don't have any questions, you can go ahead and take off. I know Drew wanted to talk about that report a little bit, so we can do that. Um, otherwise, thanks for being here tonight, guys. And I will see you next week. I tried to do a little bit better at getting your invitation out to you this week. So I had a bright idea that I could set my email to go out, I think yesterday or something. So you guys had it in time and I didn't have to send it right before class. So hopefully I will remember to do that this week as well. So I think I'm starting to get the hang of all of this. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. But all right. If you don't have any questions, I will see you next week.
Right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
at
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
beginning of class, I had pulled up both the report and my corrected file.
Okay.
Because in my email, I had noted to you that I figured out why it said that my works cited part was incorrect. Because in my reference tab, for some reason, I didn't notice that it set the style to APA.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I had a bright thought, but only at the beginning of class, that maybe if I put the cursor at the beginning of the paper, so it sets it to the whole paper, and I swap it to MLA, it actually changes the quotations or the citations, and that's why I got them incorrect.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
it completely changes the citations with just one button click, and that's
Isn't that interesting?
that's what tripped me up for nearly an hour. I just couldn't figure it out, and I figured it out just 30 minutes ago. So
Okay. Okay. All right.
so
Well,
but
yeah, and that's the frustrating part is it's sometimes a little thing like that, and just looking at the document, you can't tell. You have to actually have it open in Word and looking through all those different things that you've gone through the whole time. So yeah.
But if it's okay, I'd like to show you what my Word looks like, because it is slightly different. But you would have to enable the screen sharing for a moment.
Okay. So I think that I have to allow you to do something for that.
Like I said, it's not like the biggest issue in the world. I just want to let you know that there are slight differences. Maybe it's because I changed the I don't know how I did it, but I changed the layout so that it's more comfortable for me to look at rather than that obscene white and blue.
Yeah.
But it does affect what I do see, because sometimes during the thing it'll be like, it's in this tab under this thing, and even as you were going through with the insert tab where it says the smart graphic, for mine it doesn't even say smart graphic, it just has the image and I have to highlight it and then it says smart graphic.
Okay. Do you have the ability to share your screen now?
I do.
Okay.
Do you see the Word document?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is it's entirely black.
Right.
That's more comfortable for me to look at, so I'm pretty sure that's why I changed that. But when you start to look, oh wow, okay. Never mind then, I guess.
Okay. So
well the thing is that styles bar isn't usually there for me because I click it and I use my computer's ability to put it on half of my screen, and I don't know if it made it smaller for you, but then instead of having that whole graphic for styles,
Oh, yeah.
little A,
Uh-huh.
and then it's got that drop down menu. Okay, so that's my
Yeah.
problem. Is I'm
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so then
Yeah.
there is no. Okay, yep, I see it now.
Yeah, that does. I have that same problem in the classroom because my screen is a lot smaller than the students' monitors. And so I have what you were showing me, the little one where you have to hit the drop down arrow to see all your different choices. And they have the big screen like we're seeing now where they can see everything all at one time. So it is a little frustrating, yes, when
But
they
at
don't
least
all
now
match
I know.
up.
At least now I know that if I'm having trouble with finding something, I just full screen it, and it will actually give me this entire layout for each
Okay.
of these tabs, and that's
Yeah.
okay. See,
And
these are
I will,
things that I
yeah,
wasn't aware of.
I will tell you in your textbook, it says, let me see here. I don't have a, it will say like, home paragraph, or it'll say in the paragraph section of the home tab. And so I usually skip over that part in the reading and I just know where I'm going in the ribbons. But if you're struggling to find something, you might go back and look at that part of the reading because it will direct you to what section of which ribbon you need to look at. And that way, if you
like
want
I
to
said,
keep
the
it
only issue
smaller.
I was having is that some of those little ribbons didn't
Uh-huh.
have any words on them. But the moment I full screened it, it full display, and once again, I have caused my own error.
Oh,
So
well, that happens to some of us sometimes. So it's all
but
right.
I suppose that's what the course in college is all about. It's about correcting your own errors.
Well, and here's the thing. If we were in the classroom, you would not struggle with that at all because every student's spot in the classroom has 2 monitors. So you can have your Word document showing and then your textbook up on the other screen. In fact, we just set up my daughter with her second monitor today because she kept having to go back and forth for stuff for her classes. So that's not ideal for everyone. It's not, it's not a choice everyone has. We just happen to have an old monitor sitting around here in the shop that I just was able to give her for right now. So, but that's the other thing. If you can read your phone, you can always use that electronic textbook on your phone, or if you have a tablet, or even if you have a Chromebook or something like that, where you just have internet access, because that's all you need to access that textbook. You can't use a Chromebook to do the class, but you could use a Chromebook to access the electronic textbook. So you didn't have to, because I'm the same way. I like to have everything on one screen so I can see it.
Yeah,
but
as I'm taking this class and using my computer a lot more as I intended it to be used when I purchased it.
Right.
I'm learning so many more features about my computer because I purchased a gaming laptop because I wanted it to be relevant for at least a decade.
Right.
So it has a lot of stuff in it. And as I'm taking this class, I'm learning how to use Word and everything. But at the same time, I'm, even just in the last 5 minutes, I've learned my own error because it's shortening the windows. And one of the features of my laptop is I can have 3 sections on the monitor. So one half of the screen will be one section, and the other half will have 2 smaller sections. So this way I have everything on display and can swap back between them without having to open and close a million tabs. And I've been using those a lot, and I think that's where a lot of my misunderstandings and errors are coming from.
Oh, okay. Okay. But you must have a lot better eyesight than me, because I wouldn't be able to have 3 sections on a screen and be able to see them very well.
Well,
So,
I suppose it's a skill set because at one point when I was younger, I did a lot of online gaming, and I don't know if you've ever seen what an online game screen looks like. None of it looks like readable information.
oh wow.
But when you get into it, you have over 80 different indicators on your screen, and you just
Oh,
learn how to see each individual thing and actually read the information.
Huh.
It's kind of like my piano music. Doesn't make sense until you practice it, and then you go, "Oh, now I see."
Yeah.
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 So everything's
Okay.
a learning experience. But even just going through this, just right now, it is allowed me to, adjust so that this next project I don't have that same issue where I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, because
Right.
now I know how to see the entire tab to
Right.
properly do it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much
Okay.
for your time.
Sure. You're welcome. Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.
All right. You too. Emily, did you need anything?